Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Coffee with Katie. Got a nice Vader mug today. So something I'm gonna start doing in my videos, obviously by my name you can tell that I really like coffee. I'm going to start including segments on coffee. So I really like drinking different types of coffee and different flavored coffees. So I'm gonna start including those in my videos. So for instance, today I am drinking Bones coffee and it's the red velvet. Again, as I was saying, I really love flavored coffee, and so some of my favorite coffee brands are Bones Coffee and also Coffee Beanery, if you've ever heard of any of those. Me and my husband drink flavored coffee all the time, and I'm always looking to try really unique and really different flavors. And I have found that those two companies do pretty unique and pretty fun flavors. And so I buy from them all the time. This is not sponsored. They do not know who I am. They don't know I exist. But I drink their coffee all the time. Because my channel is about reading, but I also really love coffee, I wanted to start including like what I'm drinking and telling you about what I'm drinking. And it's just another fun way to kind of start your day or just learn about new coffees. I also got a coffee, I think it was in an owl crate, and it was from Fable Grounds, I think is what it's called. I'll link it down below. But they'd had a small, I think it was called Little Heathen, which was hilarious, and it was inspired by Serpent and Dove, and it was like a cinnamon bun coffee. I really liked that coffee, so I might start getting some of theirs too. Today's video is going to be a spoilery review and just kind of chat about Kingdom of the Wicked. But before we do that, I wanted to do an unboxing of Coffee Beanery's coffee, because they do a box that has limited edition monthly flavors, and they're little like sample packs, and you can subscribe to them for, I think it's $20 a month, and you get these little 4 ounce, I don't know, they're really small bags of really cool flavors, and they give you 4 of them, and they change the theme and the idea every month. But they also, if you are not subscribed to that subscription, they will put full bags of those flavors of their coffees on their website like later in the month, so that if you didn't get the subscription, you can still buy a full bag of it. You don't get to try it beforehand, but they are full size, but they are very limited. So if you decide that you want some of them, you should go and get them quickly. So I have right here, I tore the box open, so it wasn't going to be super difficult to get into, but I bought their May flavors, and I think their theme this month was Cinco de Mayo, and it was really fun flavors. Some of their flavors may sound gross, but I think it's really fun. Even if I think it's gross, I really want to try it because it's a really unique flavor, and I'm just kind of into trying really cool or unique flavored things. All right, so the first one I got in their May Cinco de Mayo is Spicy Hot Chocolate, which sounds great. I actually really love spicy, like pepper or like heat in my chocolate. I think it's really fun. I know a lot of people are not fans of that, but it's something that I really love. So I thought this would be interesting, and I have no idea what it's gonna taste like, or if it's gonna taste like it's hot, spicy hot, but we'll see. And the next one I got, because I got all 4 flavors for this month, is Margarita, which looks like this. And again, may sound gross, but I think it sounds really fun. Another one of the flavors for this month was Sopapilla, and it's just these kind of little fluffy desserts. I think it's similar to like what a churro would taste like, but it's obviously not a churro. A cinnamony puff pastry. And the last one was Caramel Tres Leches. And again, this was May's flavors for Cinco de Mayo, but they've done a ton. I know that they had some crazy ones for Thanksgiving. For November, it was like sage stuffing and cranberry sauce and grandma's apple pie and things like that. And the sage stuffing was actually savory. And I know that probably 90% of the population or 99% of the population would not like that. It was not my favorite, but I did enjoy it because it was so different. It was savory and kind of aromatic, whereas I think most coffee flavors tend to go towards the sweet side, which makes sense because coffee's fairly bitter depending on how it's brewed. I just have such a good time trying all their flavors, and we do this like every month. We'll get like one of their exclusive flavors. For March was like Easter themed, and I think we got marshmallow chicks, so it was like Peeps, and then we got frosted carrot cake. So, and I will say with some of the flavored coffees, you can taste the flavors of some more than others, and it just kind of depends, and I couldn't really tell you what it depends on, and you might be able to taste it better than I can. It just varies a lot. but they did have a peach one last summer that legit tasted like it had peach oil or like nectar in it. It was nuts. So yeah, I'm just a really big fan of them. Again, this is not sponsored. They have no clue who I am, but I just like talking about coffee. Now that we're done with that, I want to talk about Kingdom of the Wicked. As you all know, I finished reading this in April, and I had a really fun time with it and I really enjoyed it, but I kind of wanted to dig into it a little bit more and talk about it. And yes, this will have spoilers. I'm not going to kind of filter what I say. I'm not going to try to reveal the entire plot to you or anything like that, but I'm not going to filter anything I say, so it will have spoilers. So just be aware of that. And if you don't want spoilers, then just don't watch this. Or read it, come back and watch it. If you do want to talk about this, I would love for you to chat with me down below in the comments and tell me what you thought and tell me what you think of what I discussed in this video. All right, so the premise of this is that there are twin sisters, and one of the twins gets murdered brutally, and the other twin finds her body, and she finds this man standing over her, and she's trying to find revenge, and she's trying to locate her twin's killer, solve the mystery, and then, take her vengeance upon them. And in doing so, she ends up recruiting a prince of hell. She does this by summoning one of the princes of hell to Earth and to her hometown. So the prince she ends up summoning is named Wrath, and he's one of the 7 houses. And kind of the house deal is that it's like the 7 deadly sins. I'm trying to find this map that's in here. It's really cool. The 7 circles. Peep that real quick. And it's the house of lust, house of wrath, house of pride, house gluttony, house sloth, house envy, and house greed. These are all the 7 princes and their different brothers. So she summons Wrath, and she does this to recruit him to help her find her sister's killer, or to see if he's her sister's killer. And then they kind of end up helping each other, not really helping each other. They have the same goal of finding this person that did this. Wrath has his own hidden agendas as well. And Amelia, the main character, isn't forthcoming with all of her motivations, even though the main thing is finding her twin's killer and taking vengeance. She's not really forthcoming with a lot of the information that may help or may not, so they're kind of both trying to be secretive, both trying to complete their own goals while working together for one of the same goals. Spoiler alert, I know I told you about this already, but I had a really fun time with it. I really loved it, but let's talk about it a little bit more. So first off, not really to do with the plot, but this book made me so hungry. So it's set in Italy. It doesn't really tell you I don't think it does, maybe it does, but it doesn't really tell you the time frame of it's set in Italy, but I think it's like before modern day technology. So it's like street vendors, no cell phones, stuff like that. You have to go to people's houses to talk to them. That's about all you get. It doesn't really set it up that well. It's fantasy. You're in Italy, and her family, like her sister, her grandmother, her parents, run this restaurant called the Sea and Vine. And she likes to cook. It's kind of her creative outlet. And she talks about cooking, and she talks about flavors, and she talks about recipes she's making in her head. They're running a restaurant, so you're listening to what they're preparing for dinner. I was so hungry. I have been to Italy, by the grace of God, before the pandemic hit. Oh, the food was so good. It was so good. And so she was talking about all of these recipes and all this food, and I was so hungry and so wishing I was in Italy eating that lemon shrimp risotto. Delicious. Beware, if you're reading this, it will make you hungry, and it will make you hungry for Italian food. It also doesn't help that my husband is Italian and his family is Italian, and so now I just want to eat all of this Italian food, and it's not lots of carbs, so I need to avoid. The descriptions of the food were great. So Wrath is my man. I mean, that's just totally my type. I love dark, bad boy, morally gray characters. So shocker that I like Wrath a lot. But I will say that you don't get to see a lot of him come out because he's being very secretive and because he's a prince of hell. And it's more so Amelia's perspective, not Wrath's. Look at him as a character. He was very dark, very brooding. He was strong, he was violent, he could do all of these things, but he reserved himself and he held back a lot of the time. Other times he didn't and he unleashed. But I felt like he had controlled strength and controlled power while still being absolutely terrifying and intimidating. Like, I could kill you immediately, but I won't right now. Just touching on the magic, I thought the magic system was interesting. Maybe it's not a system, but I thought the magic was interesting and how it was kind of spells and very much like how witchcraft is described. So like using a lot of herbs, using a lot of spells, using blood magic, which is like the dark magic, using the elements around you, like I said, with spices or herbs or things like that to protect you. She also had like this blessed chalk, and if she drew a circle around herself, like she was safe, things like that. So it wasn't like completely made up fantasy. Those things are based in history to an extent. I thought it was really interesting, and there was one point where they did like a portal and like sent this prince back to hell, and that was cool. And obviously they like summoned them into this summoning circle, and they were like trapped in the summoning circle until, well, Wrath was trapped in the summoning circle until she released him. So I thought the magic was interesting. I'm not sure exactly how it works completely, but it wasn't, maybe I'm not supposed to know how it works completely yet. But it was interesting, and I did like the aspects that I saw. I also thought it was really interesting, like I mentioned before, the different houses of the wicked. I thought that was really intriguing, and I'm actually really curious to see what they do with the houses in the next books. I don't know how many books are, if it's going to be a duology, if it's a series, if it's a trilogy, I don't know. Hopefully we'll find out soon. I'm really interested to see how the houses play into the story more as the series continues. Because in this book, you see envy and you see greed and you see a little bit of lust, but mostly it's wrath, envy, and greed. And even those is kind of like, they're here and there, they're not the whole time. And it's just the princes in the Italy setting. So in Amelia's like hometown, it's not their kingdom. But I'm dying to know what the kingdom of the wicked looks like how all the houses interact in hell. I thought we were gonna get a lot more of that in this book. Like I thought they were gonna go to the kingdom of the wicked, or they were going to go to, I guess, hell in this book, and you were going to kind of see more of that. The book ends basically before that happens, and so that's what I'm really interested in. So in that aspect, it wasn't disappointing, because she's building this up until you go there, until you get there. But in my head, I was like, we're going to see the kingdom of the wicked in this book, and you don't. You are only in Amelia's hometown. So Amelia, I did like her, but I thought she was kind of dumb, and I mentioned that in my wrap-up, but it was just, she was so afraid of making a deal with Wrath, which I get it, he's a demon prince. You were taught never to trust them. They're gonna lie to you, they're gonna try to steal your souls, because they're demons, they're demon princes. They're just gonna strike bargains with you that don't turn out well for you, only them, and it just like weighs in their favor and stuff like that. I totally get that. However, she was so afraid to make a deal with Wrath that she kept going off and getting in all this danger and trouble, and people are trying to kill her, and it just kept happening over and over and over again. And then she ended up making a deal with the devil anyway. So like, what was the point? Like, what? I think my main issue with this is that Wrath needs you alive. Like, it was very apparent that he wasn't gonna kill her, and that he needed her alive for some reason. Personal gain, selfish motivation, to steal her soul for himself, who knows? But for some reason, he needed her alive. He needs you alive, while everyone else is actively trying to kill you or have you give up the keys to hell. So it's like, okay, well, sure, you don't want to make a deal with the demon prince, but since everyone else is trying to kill you or take something from you, how about you make a deal with the one that's trying to keep you alive and actually protecting you? He actually saves you from death multiple times. She gets bit by the, oh, I'm not going to remember the name of it, hold on. Viper Day? It's spelled like Viper and then D-A-E. Viper Day? She goes to find the Viper Day, steal the Cornucillo back from the Viper. She gets bit by the Viper, she's poisoned, she's gonna die immediately. Wrath actively saves her, picks her up, does some sort of magic stuff, like sexy time magic stuff, that was bizarre. Dark magic stuff to keep her alive. He does that, he saves you from the demon he says he wasn't gonna save you from. Make sure you don't die, gets the poison out of your system, keeps you alive, doesn't kill you when you wake up or force you into anything, and then you banish him. Bro, if I was Wrath, I'd be sick and tired of you too, and I'd be like, screw this, she's not worth it, let's just end her now. And then he saves her skin several more times against other demons and Envy himself. So, if you gotta make a deal with somebody, maybe with him. Seems like a great option with everything else you're fighting. And then there's that whole trope of like, surprise, the summoning spell you used to send for me and these tattoos on your arms mean we're basically married. I think it's more so an engagement kind of situation, but they need to get married. I kind of like that trope, not gonna lie. It's silly and kind of stupid, but I like that trope. Maybe it's not stupid. I shouldn't say that. I just make fun of myself. I did like that a lot. But I could kind of see it coming just because you're like, oh, obviously they're bonded in a more intense way than she thought, because he comes, realizes what's happening, realizes the words she said, and is horrified. So you know it's deeper than him just being bound to her for a couple days. I did think that this book was a very slow burn, enemies to lovers type romance, or book. It's not even necessarily a romance, because they didn't quite make it to lovers. I feel like it was quite slow. Not slow as in like nothing's happening, but like relationship developing between them from enemies to camaraderie to maybe something more was very slow, and I think that was intentional. I think it's building a lot, and you don't really get to see the end result of that. Even in the first book, like there's no really resolution to that. They're still very secretive. They're still very kind of angry at each other off and on and lying to each other. Well, I won't say that he's lying because apparently he can't lie. Who knows if that's true or not? But apparently he can't lie, but she can. So they're kind of like keeping things from each other or lying. You kind of get a little bit of the lovers aspect towards the very end of the book, but not much. It's just kind of doing a slow burn, slow build to continue in the rest of the series. Also, Grandma got secrets. So Nona, she's a witch. Everyone knows she's a witch. Like their whole family is witches. But then she like comes out of nowhere when Envy's attacking and like sends him straight to hell in a portal when he thinks she can't even talk. And apparently witches can't use magic unless they can speak. That's important. And then she sends him straight to hell, and then she's like, yo, I got this, but Amelia, you need to take your amulet and you need to run and get out of here, and you need to hide and not be found. Again, Amelia does not follow instructions, so she does not hide. She finds the amulet that she needs, the cornicillo, and then she goes and gets in more trouble because why not? Also, when she finds it, it seems like it was planted there for a reason, so that was fishy. And then that whole curse thing with Wrath. I don't know what that looks like or what that means for him. It kind of explained it a little bit, that basically he needs a bride to kind of be his queen for the House of Wrath. But it didn't really explain what happens. I guess he can't leave the underworld or leave hell until that happens, and that's his curse. It didn't really explain his curse personally very well, and it didn't really explain why he needs a bride or what happens once he gets one or anything like that. And it didn't even necessarily say bride, but he had to marry a witch specifically, which is why Amelia comes into this. It feels a little bit Beauty and the Beast-esque in that sense, but it didn't really describe it. And I'm not saying it's like poor writing didn't describe it. I think the author is keeping that information from you intentionally, and she's going to reveal more of that and what it means in later books. Hence, the second book being titled Kingdom of the Cursed. I'm kind of interested to know what that looks like and what that means for them and for Wrath. And it could just be, again, building up to the Kingdom of the Cursed, and that's why you're not really learning much about it now. I want to know, what do you all think of Wrath? Obviously, I love him. He's a dark character, dark guy character. I love them. What do you think his intentions are? What do you think his motives are? So I don't think he actually hates Amelia. I don't think it was an act, everything that was going on. Like when he saves her from envy and just little things that he does to kind of make her feel safe or make her feel comfortable or get fed up with her depression and dump her in a bathtub and make sure she feels better. I don't think it was all an act, and I do think he desires her. I don't know why. I don't know if like the tattoo and like the bond that they did is forcing him to feel that way to an extent, or it's just kind of like a bonding thing and then this is who his person is type of a thing. I'm not really sure, because they push the whole demons are selfish, demons can't love, demons don't have good feelings. I feel like that's not true, and I feel like they're using it as a cop-out, like Wrath and Envy in themselves are using it as a cop-out to be like, don't trust me, or don't trust them, because we can't feel that way, and I think they may be able to, or at least Wrath may be able to under the circumstances that he's in. So I don't think it's all an act. I do think he's pissed about the deal. We'll get to that in a minute, because I think he wants her to be his own and to break his own curse and be his own queen for his house. So when he dies, obviously he didn't die, but like when they die, they go back to hell and they have to like regenerate and come back. Don't know how that works. But so he dies. So he saves her from Envy, and Envy pins him. Envy like brutally like disembowels him, basically like slices him open so that it's super painful and he feels all that pain, and then it takes him longer to regenerate. And that was intense. And like he saves her from that, and he like brutally dies in front of her, and he's telling her to run and like all this stuff. So it's not like he's trying to kill you, he's trying to protect you. I know he's a demon prince, but come on. Yeah, and it was just so sweet. So I do think that means he cares about her safety and he cares about her for some reason. But I do have a soft spot for bad guys, so. I guess specifically I have a soft spot for bad guys that could be good. And when he died, she absolutely missed him. She wished he was there. Honey, he could have been bound to you and knew where you were in danger and all this stuff at the beginning if you'd done the blood oath with him. Also, random side note, shapeshifters. That comes up in the story where there's like shape-shifting wolves that can like kill these demon creatures. You see like one of them is a human and then he tells her about it. But like that's not explored. That wasn't really anything in the story yet. So I'm sure that's gonna come back full force. And so at the end, Antonio, for one, I did not like him in the beginning. I thought he was fishy. I definitely thought he was gonna find out that they were witches if he didn't already and try to kill them. Yes, he did. He's the one that killed her sister, or at least got her sister in trouble to be killed. And then he's trapping Amelia, even though she really cared about him a lot. Shame, shame. So she summons Pride, but he comes up in Antonio's body, so you don't know what he looks like. And she makes a deal with the devil. She agrees to be queen of hell. So she agrees to be Pride's queen, Pride's bride. Queen of hell. What? I have a couple of theories. Part of me wonders, it was assumed, Amelia kind of assumes, or it's assumed in which culture, that pride is the devil, because pride is like that kind of sin that would correlate to the devil, like wanting to be as high as God and then falling, right? But it's never confirmed that pride is the devil. So I wonder if wrath is the devil. He's probably not, and that's probably not going to be what happens, but it's a thought that what if wrath is actually the devil? Again, probably not true. So I think Wrath is pissed because this person he's been protecting this whole time, keeping alive, pouring a lot of his energy into, and helping solve mysteries, partially because he's also serving Pride, which maybe that means Pride is the devil, I don't know. And then she goes and makes a deal with him to marry Pride, marry the devil, and be queen of hell. This whole time he's been trying to help you, trying to like make you feel good things about him so you'll become his bride, even though he doesn't really tell you that. It comes from someone else, which was super not cool from that minion's perspective. But he's trying to do all this for you, and then you go and make a deal with Pride to marry him. I'd be pissed too. And so at the end, it's kind of like, it paints a picture like he was just faking it. He didn't care about her. He doesn't care about her. He was just trying to steal her soul one way or the other. And this way he gets what he wants to an extent. He gets a bride for Pride, and he's going to take her to hell. He's got this mask on like, I never cared about you, all of this was stupid, I was just faking it. Oh no, that's not true. I don't think that's true. I don't think he was acting. I think he's mad now and he has to put on a face because now his brother's apparently gonna marry her. I don't know, but I think he wanted her, and I don't know how it's gonna play out, but I'm really interested to see. I also just kind of like, Amelia's parents, like, what's up with them? Like, you talk about the grandmother Nona, you talk about the sisters, the parents are just kind of there and, like, useless, honestly. So yeah, there's a couple of loose ends, like, we're gonna be going to hell, and we're finally gonna see what the Kingdom of the Wicked is. The shapeshifters, what kind of role they're gonna be playing in this. The Brotherhood, if they're gonna be this, like, force working against the Wicked and the shapeshifters. If the shapeshifters are gonna be working with the Brotherhood. I don't know. Envy's obviously up to no good and trying to mess up the houses. I don't know what Greed's issue is. I don't know what the rest of the houses are gonna do. I bet Sloth is gonna be a hilarious character though. Oh, and one other thing I mentioned is I thought it was interesting that the different houses could control different emotions. So they could control your lust. They could control envy. And I don't think Wrath can control Amelia's because of the bond they did, but all of that was kind of cool. So yeah, guys, please tell me what you thought of this book. Please discuss with me in the comments. I would love to chat with you guys about it if you've read it. Who's excited for Kingdom of the Cursed? I am. I'm so pumped. I already pre-ordered it, actually. I pre-ordered the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. I'm also going to get the Fairy Loot edition because it matches this one, and I love this one. So please let me know what you thought of this book. I would love to talk to you about it, and I will see you next time. Stay safe and caffeinated. Bye.